This is Feminist Wellness, and I'm your host, nurse practitioner, functional medicine expert, and life coach, Victoria Albina. I'll show you how to get unstuck, drop the anxiety, perfectionism, and codependency so you can live from your beautiful heart. Welcome, my love. Let's get started. Hello, my love. I hope this finds you doing so well. By the time you hear this, I will be off on some delicious and delightful summer vacation. First stop, Madrid. I'm so thrilled. We're going to have such a good time, and I just can't wait. My dear friend Rob and his wife are staying at our house while we're out of town. They're doing a little house sit, but also get out of the city and enjoy the country life and eat fistfuls of blueberries off the trees and stare at the adorable bunnies. And I'm just so grateful for my life, for my community, for all my privilege and capacity to travel. There really isn't a day that I don't wake up ridiculously happy and grateful. I just wanted to share that with you because it feels really nice to be grateful, because I used to have more dark days than I had bright ones, and the shift has been absolutely incredible. And one of the things that has really, really helped bring me into more gratitude, and that gratitude has helped me to achieve in my life, is knowing what I need, speaking about what I need, the whole conversation about needs. So I hope that you listen to my conversation with my dear friend and colleague, Mara Glatzel, all about needs. She wrote a book all about needs called Needy. Very smart there. I blurbed it, which means I read it in advance and shared my praise for it because it was really, really good. I highly recommend it. The book is fabulous. Our conversation was a delight. Mara's just a gem and a half. And yeah, I'm so grateful to have friends like her. So I've heard from y'all that you love a series. You love when I talk about a subject from different angles and in different ways and with lots of very real examples over the course of several weeks. So we are going to do a 2-part series talking about needs and how folks with emotional outsourcing habits, which we are about to define, relate to having needs. How we ask to get them met or don't, some common problems with expressing our needs, and most importantly, in next week's show, what we can do to balance it all out towards the goal of living more interdependently. I'm also going to challenge a commonly held belief about codependency and needs. So keep listening. It's gonna be a good one. Haven't said that in a hot minute on the show, huh? Before we dive in, I was looking at the numbers recently, and it does appear that there are a whole lot of new people around here. So, my darlings, welcome, bienvenidos. Welcome to Feminist Wellness. I'm so glad you're here. And thank you to whomever shared the show with you, whomever posted it to their social media and helped spread the word or told their patient. I'm just so grateful that you're here. So let's start with the definition of codependency that we use around here, because it's different, right, than what you usually hear out in the world. We don't talk. I don't talk. I'm the only one talking here. I should use the correct, proper first-person pronoun. I don't talk about codependent people, because that label, that is so limiting. And it can lead us to believe that we are perma-effed and just wading through day by day, trying to not be a codependent hot mess today, instead of understanding that we don't need to label ourselves in these painful ways. We can actually change in real ways to live life interdependently. Our old codependent habits are just survival skills, and we can learn new ones. So I talk about emotional outsourcing, which is a term I created for the experiences of codependency, perfectionism, and people-pleasing that arise from early experiences where we learn to prioritize others' needs above our own, sacrificing our well-being and sense of self in the process towards the goal, because of course we don't do anything as humans unless there's a goal, right? Towards the goal of feeling or being safer, towards more belonging, even if it was false belonging, right? Even if we were being liked for being a false version of ourselves, belonging keeps you safer than not belonging, right? We shape-shifted and gave ourselves away, chameleoned towards mattering to our family, our community, our society. And we learn as emotional outsourcers to attempt to derive our sense of wellness, value, worth, and safety in the world from everyone and everything outside of ourselves, instead of from within. Because at our core, we worry that we just aren't worthy of love, care, good things. Often because that's what we learned directly or indirectly in childhood. And so that is the pattern that was written into our nervous system, luckily. That is a pattern that we can rewrite and change. We can regulate around it. Folks with emotional outsourcing thinking and living often struggle with setting boundaries, which makes a lot of sense. If what everyone else thinks of you is the most important thing, way more important than what you think about you, then saying no or voicing a limit is, frankly, just plain dumb. Because it could lead to rejection, abandonment, criticism, conflict. All things that could get you kicked out of the village. And then when the marauders or the lions come, who's going to get made snack? You are. You're smarter than that, right? So you keep your mouth shut and you try to toe the line towards safety. The same holds with expressing needs. Doing so can feel super risky and, yeah, really dumb. When someone's saying no or declining your request feels like a rejection of the core of who you are, which is often the case in emotional outsourcing. We have the habit of taking things hyper personally because we fear nothing is actually about us. Isn't that just, oof, that's a mind F for sure. And this was the case for me, that fear of rejection or being told I was demanding, which is something I heard constantly in childhood about having very basic human wants and needs, kept me from living interdependently for most of my life. Interdependence is when two people in a relationship recognize one another's autonomy and honor it, living with mutuality and reciprocity, in the give and take of having needs and wants. And this is the antidote to codependent thinking and emotional outsourcing. I'll also add here that my partner calls it mutuosity, the love child of mutuality and reciprocity, and I think that is so adorable and just so fabulous. Mutuosity. 10 points to her. From an emotional outsourcing mindset, which often comes from being raised in emotional outsourcing because it's often intergenerational, recognizing our own needs can feel super foreign, like not a thing we know how to do, especially when we didn't see it modeled for us in healthy ways growing up. And yeah, I have my little paw in the air saying, me too, because I certainly did not see healthy needs-based request making growing up. That's not what we did. And that's what's common for us. And so we can find it wicked challenging. Oh, and that's hella challenging for the West Coast. Always trying to keep it inclusive over here. And we often carry stories that our needs aren't important or are a burden. And other people's needs, which we overattend to as a habit, are worthy of us hopping to take care of, displacing our needs and instead taking care of theirs first. That can look like getting up from the dinner table because someone wants a condiment, someone who can totally go get it themselves, by the way, not like, a toddler in a high chair. Making sure everyone else has everything they need, which leaves our needs dead last, schlepping everyone else to lessons, events, etc., and rarely making time for our own movement, friend hangs, etc. Or we do manage to attend to those needs, those wants, those desires, those things that make us feel whole, but honestly, we feel pretty darn guilty for it while we're doing it. Like, we're being terrible, selfish humans, particularly for those of us socialized as women. Women are not to be selfish. We are to put everyone ahead of ourselves, right? And so we feel bad if we take care of ourselves instead of attending to the invisible and exhausting labor that most of us were trained to provide for everyone in our lives. So, yeah. Our needs feel burdensome, selfish, or inconsequential compared to the needs of others, especially as women in the patriarchy. And asking for our needs to be met can make us feel super scared because it is quite vulnerable making to voice what's real, especially when we're not used to it and don't have the capacity in our nervous systems to hold ourselves in safety when we do it. And so it's no shocker that all this over-giving while ignoring ourselves leads to feelings of resentment, exhaustion, and a loss of identity over time, not to mention the ping-ponging nervous system that bounces from sympathetic to dorsal and back again a bajillion times as we debate asking for help, remind ourselves that help is for everyone but us, and go back and forth forever. We have the tendency to minimize or apologize for our needs, diluting the message in an effort to avoid discomfort or potential conflict, which can sound like, I would really love it if you could help. I'm like completely overwhelmed. I haven't really slept in 3 days, but like if you're busy or whatever, or you just like kind of don't feel like it, or you want to watch TV, or like, I don't know, go sit on a rock somewhere, like that's totally fine. It's fine. I'm just like literally actually bleeding out. I have this really big cut and I'm dying, but it's fine. I'll totally organize a spice drawer. Don't worry about it. We carry a fear of being perceived as selfish or needy. And in continuing to carry that fear, which is no one's ever throwing rocks at anyone around here, right? I'm just saying what the what is. We inadvertently and unwittingly perpetuate a cycle where we consistently put ourselves last, leaving our needs unmet and our well-being compromised. My beauty, my sweet tender ravioli, as humans, we are pack animals. And we do actually need one another. And this is the central point I want to make. It is not a problem to need others. The problem arises when we don't ask for support, as we just detailed, or when we speak our needs in less than awesome ways, which we'll get to in a moment. Meanwhile, the dominant narrative around codependency and quote-unquote recovery from it gets this way wrong in stigmatizing and pathologizing needing others, calling it a sign of being quote-unquote sick with codependency, thereby extolling the virtues of meeting all your own needs. And I see this kind of thinking all the time in my patients who have spent time in spaces that encourage a heavy and hefty focus on independence in lieu of interdependence. And it can be really painful and harmful because it keeps folks from finding the kind of balanced give and take around needs that is so important to our overall wellness, because science. Also because tender ravioli, right? That is the rugged individualism-fueled push to meet all your own needs and to not depend on anyone, or you're codependent, is not only not based in the science of being a human, but it also sounds really sad and lonely and not fun to me. And also, when it was what I did, it was not anything but sad, lonely, and not fun. I don't want to go it alone because I love people and I love helping others. And now that I have the capacity in my nervous system to receive love and care, which is something I got to work out. It's not something I came into adulthood with the capacity to just like do. Now, having done all this work the last decade plus, I love needing others, relying on them, taking them at their word, asking them for help, asking my partner to help with something. Like, she just cleaned the whole kitchen while I was doing this. And yeah, sure, I had like a trickle of guilt, but it didn't overwhelm me or flood me, or like it would have in the past, lead me to not record this podcast and instead go mop a floor, right? So that's the shift, right? I love asking others to take over a task, to hug me with the deep pressure my magical ADHD brain body loves. I love counting on my girls, on Marie, on Alessandra, on Rob, who's not one of my girls, but kind of, to have my back and to support me personally and professionally. On and on. I love needing others so much now because interdependence feels glorious, my darlings. My people know that I have their back 100%, and I know that they've got mine. That old school story that in order to overcome codependency, we need to not need people is false, 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 and believing it keeps us in this binary thinking around needs that keeps us reactive to life, to other people, and keeps us detached from our own somatic or bodily knowing about what we need in order to thrive in life. Because the issue is not actually us having needs or counting on the people you are interdependent on to meet them when they are able. It is normal, natural, and human to have needs. Let me say that again for the folks in the back. Of course you have needs. You're a human. And of course you want the people you love and care about to care about your needs and to support you in meeting them. That also makes so much sense and is so normal and not a problem. What becomes a problem is how we go about trying to get our needs met from our emotional outsourcing habits. Generally from the wounding that says, it's not okay for me to have needs per se. I'm not worthy of being taken care of, especially if I haven't earned it or they haven't earned our love. The old tit-for-tat style of relating that so many of us grew up with and are living in to this day. And when we expect others to self-abandon as hard as we do, we are creating a painful morass of back and forth resentment that is poisonous to our sense of self and to all of our relationships. And if you haven't listened to the 2-part series I recently shared all about self-abandonment, I would highly recommend that before we meet up again next week to talk about some examples of how we kind of sort of attempt to ask that our needs get met, but kind of just stir up trouble instead. We'll be talking all about passive aggression next week, and on a future show, all about aggressive aggression, which is like passive aggressive. When people don't realize they're being like too direct or like aggressive direct. But yeah, from the same wounding, from that same like emotional outsourcing place. So we're going to hit pause on this week in talking about needs because this is a lot, right? A lot of us carry a lot of confusion around our needs and whether it's okay to have needs, whether it's okay for others to have needs. We might think it's super demanding for others to have needs. And that's a good point. Let me make that point. I had this realization maybe 5-10 years ago. At a certain age, it all gets blurry, which is just as well. I'll do a whole show about this. This is such a good topic. I was getting mad at, annoyed at, irritated by, and was just generally judgmental of people who were doing things, particularly things for their wellness and their overall good, that I didn't feel that it was okay for me to do. Right? So if someone was like, hey, I'd really like to get this need met. Are you available? I'd be like, I'd be irritated. I'd be like, whatever, you know? And that was coming from that story that it was not an okay thing to do. Because I did very much literally grow up hearing when I'd be like, can I have a basic need? And please, I had all my basic needs met in childhood. My parents 100% did that, right? Plus. We had karate lessons and ballet and like all the things. But the emotional needs, right? When I would ask for those to get met, that's when I was told I was being demanding. And so I had this story in my head. I also didn't see my parents naming their needs or their emotions, asking for them to be met in like kind, loving, gentle ways. Like communication was not the forte in my household, was not healthy, direct communication. So just this, what we've been learning about today, that it's okay to have needs. It's important to have needs. It's a vital part of being a human to have needs, can be a lot. And so I want to invite you to sit with it. Your homework this week is to start to take a look at what comes up within your mind, within your body, what the felt sensation in your body. So this is a somatics or body-based modality cue, right? What does it feel like in your body when you have a need? And it can be something as simple as you're sitting down at the dinner table and you really, well, this is a want, right? You want hot sauce, right? Or you need water and you can't reach it. You need to ask someone to help you, right? Let's say you're trapped breastfeeding a baby and you can't get up or there will be so much crying. What does it feel like in your body to recognize that you have a need and it would be optimal for someone else to support you in that? Does it make you want to barf? Is it super easy? And you're like, I don't understand why we're even talking about this. Does it feel really squiggly and uncomfortable? Does it make you want to hide? Does it make you angry? What is the emotion that comes up? And then what is the feeling that goes with it? What is the sensation in your body that arises with that emotion around needs? That's your homework, my beauty, to pay attention to your own needs. You've got this, truly. You can learn how to know what you need, speak it, and be cool if someone says no, and be cool if someone says yes. It's quite a skill, and for most of us, it's quite a journey. And I'm here with you every step of the way. All right, my beauties, thanks for listening. If you're loving the show, please head on over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your shows and give it a 5-star rating and a written review. It helps others to find the show through search, which helps to spread this completely free resource, which is my way of being of service, into as many ears as possible. So I want to thank you in advance for doing that, giving that rating and review, sharing on social media, sharing with your communities. I'm grateful. Thank you. All right, my loves, let's do what we do. Gentle hand on your heart should you feel so moved. And remember, you are safe, you are held, you are loved. And when one of us heals, we help heal the world. Be well, my tender ravioli. I'll talk to you soon. If you've been enjoying the show and learning a ton, it's time to apply it with my expert guidance so you can live life with intention without the anxiety, overwhelm, and resentment so you can get unstuck. You're not going to want to miss the opportunity to join my exclusive intimate group coaching program. So head on over to victoriaalbina.com/masterclass to grab your seat now. See you there. It's going to be a good one.